Hey, hey, wives. Listen, I wanted to pop in real fast before the mister come back out. And they gave me this real super cool phone today. So I want to see how it works. Listen, how y'all doing today? Happy Self-Care Sunday. I just put a whole lot of lip gloss on. Just came from eating with the mister. But I had been trying to share this video since earlier today. And so I wanted to just come on real fast and share Exodus chapter 14 verses 25. And it reads, "The wheels of the chariots became stuck. It was very hard to control the chariots. The Egyptians shouted, 'Let's get out of here. The Lord is fighting against us. He is fighting for the Israelites.'" I titled this message as "When God Fights for You." So, y'all know Coach T have had a week, right? Y'all know it has been a week, honey. And I am counting down the days. Yes, I'm counting down the days for my mister to return back to work. Okay. But I had a few clients over the week, and one young lady in particular, no shade to her. I know she probably might see this message, but it's no shade to her. It's really a shout out. You know, this is like my season type of thing or whatever. This time of the year when I say that. And so giving out discounts is just not it's just really not in the books for Coach T, okay? Because a lot of times you give discounts. I've found out that one or two things happen. One, you give out discounts to people, and then you find out like they are not really good candidates because they kind of like take advantage of that. And then two, you give out discounts to people, and then they still are looking for you to do something else. So it's like they really don't want to pay. And so I'm just really in a new season in my life where I'm just like, But I was moved by this particular young lady, and I said, well, let me offer it to, some of the ladies in a group that I facilitate. And there's a few ladies who have been trying to get in but have been struggling. And the only reason why I extended that offer out to those other ladies is because they have been regulars. Like they have been so for them to not be able to get in to see me, I knew that, okay, they probably need some help. But that's not something that I normally do. The person who originally asked for the offer, it didn't happen. She was unable to do it. But I extended it out to another person who, like I said, was a regular, but had not got, was not able to get, in. And she was able to take advantage of it. And so I was like, okay, I'm glad I was able to, bless her in that way. I am starting to notice that a lot of wives are in positions and places where they're trying to figure out, God, when it's going to happen? Like, when are you going to move on my behalf? When are you going to do something? When are you going to show up? The message today in church that we got, oh my God. The man came in and he talked about, your season of waiting, your season of waiting. And it was just like so right on, because it's like I had a few clients this week. I had a few ladies that, had, checked in, reached out, had questions. Like I said, this has been a busy week, like I said, I still have to run my business and still keep going. And then I have to still be a wife and a mother and that kind of stuff too. And so some of the questions that I was getting was some of the same questions from some of the same ladies. And one of the things that I noticed is that they are trying to figure out, like, God, when are you going to do something about this situation? But they're asking the question, when is God going to move? When is God going to, make these changes, but they have not yet got clarity or full understanding about what it is that God has said to them or spoke to them, or what it is or what promise that he has given them. One of the things I always try to highlight with wives is, what did God say to you concerning your marriage? Because if you do not know what God has said to you, or you have not received an instruction or a promise from God, this journey is going to be very, very difficult for you. It's just going to be difficult for you. A lot of times people say, well, God haven't said nothing, or, I feel like God was saying be still. And I always tell wives, like, that surface-based stuff is not going to sustain you. This thing is going to weigh you down. This journey is going to tire you out. This journey is going to bring you to a place of, like, I ain't gonna do this. Unless you have been spending time with the Lord and he has given you something. And one of the things that I do with my wife clients, and why I always tell wives to check in, is because God is speaking. And so if you are spending that time with him in your devotion time, then your time of, fasting and studying, whatever it is that you are fasting for your marriage and studying, if you are doing those things on a consistent basis, you should be asking God on a consistent basis, is there any new instructions from you, Lord? Is there anything new I need to be hearing? Or is there anything new I need to be doing? And a lot of wives are just not in a place where they are getting the instructions. And it's like, if you don't have the instructions, you are drowning out here. You really are drowning out here. One of the wives I had been speaking with, husband is dealing with addiction, alcohol addiction. And one of the things I know to be true about alcohol addiction is that is a demon all by itself. That thing is a demon all by itself. Because you have the addiction, and then you have like all these little things that's taped to the addiction. The addiction is how the person is dealing with the root area, the void, the emptiness. The addiction is how they're dealing with it, right? And then you have the things that go along with the addiction, right? It can be drugs. It can be, drugs added to alcohol. It can be the outside woman. And a lot of times these wives are encountering these husbands who are dealing with alcohol addiction, but they are still struggling with the other woman, right? They're still struggling with the other woman. And a lot of times what I try to explain to wives is, the other woman is just a sticky note to the addiction, right? She's not even the main issue. She's not even the main the issue, right? But because of the addiction causes this person to be involved, with different women. One of the things, y'all know I don't like talking about the other woman. I just don't do that. But one of the things I like to always just kind of highlight is, ma'am, if you are involved with a woman's husband, another woman's husband, and you don't know the status of a relationship that wife may have with the Lord, and you are continuing to come in, contact with this man, knowing that he is a married man, knowing that he is, married, but you are continuing to come in contact with him, and you don't know that God has that woman there, has that wife there, has placed that wife there on assignment for that husband, you might want to get back. You might want to get back. One of the things I remember God used to always highlight to me, Coach T, 19 and a half years, it'll be 20 years in February that I've been married to my husband. And sometimes I always have these moments where I just look over things and like, how in the world? I'm serious. Sometimes I'll be saying, Lord, how in the world is, how did we stay connected all these long years out of all the stuff that we had dealt with, after all the odds and the darts that came up against us? And when I was leaving from church today, this was put on my spirit. When I was leaving from church today, the Lord said, it was me. it was me. The only reason that you and your husband have made it this far and have come to this place is because of me. And that Bible scripture fell in my spirit out of Exodus 14:25. when God fights for you, you might want to be careful. When you're dealing with a person with addiction, I say, because I've grew up with, family members who, have done drugs, who have done hard drugs. But I also have dealt with the addiction part of a person dealing with the alcohol. And when I say that alcohol addiction is worse than crack, that alcohol addiction is nothing to be fooled up with. The different things that a person goes through, the mental stress on that person's mind, the things that they go, it is a demon all by itself. And so many times wives are trying to figure out, well, how do I handle my husband's addiction? You don't. You cannot. It's impossible. It will drive you to extreme crazy. There is no way you can handle that person's addiction. What you have to find out and know is, what did God tell you about your marriage? It doesn't matter your husband's addiction. It doesn't matter the outside woman. It doesn't matter what he's doing. What was the promise that he gave you? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that promise. At the end of the day, your only focus is what thus said the Lord about your marriage. At church today, we came out of John 11. Talk about the story of Lazarus, that kind of thing, or whatever, and how Jesus told the people, this illness or this sickness is not unto death, right? This sickness is not unto death. And what I tell wives a lot of times is, who's dealing with addiction, if you are dealing with addiction and God has told you to stay in that marriage, you want to be specific with God. I believe a lot of times wives are not asking hard questions because they don't really want to know the hard truth, right? They don't really want to know the hard truth. Ask God, Lord, is my husband's sickness, is his illness, is this addiction to death? Is this something that we're going to deal with for the rest of our lives? Is this something that we're going to be encountering for the rest of our lives? Is this to death, right? Ask those type of questions so that you can at least have an idea or know. Too many wives are on this journey and they don't have specific instructions. And so therefore, God is not able to fight for them like he needs to, because they have not spent that time with God or came into his presence or sat down with him for him to be able to get, the necessary, instruction or promise to them. When you're dealing with addiction, alcohol, and like I said, I just highlight the alcohol addiction part because I know that story very well. And ma'am, there's no compromising. There's no, let's come into agreement. There's no, we going to, work something out. That person has to come to a place when they are ready. But that wife has a job as well. And that job is, you need to go to God in prayer and ask him, God, what's the outcome of this? Is this something that we're going to be dealing with for the rest of our lives? Because let me tell you something. If it is, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. And the only way you are going to make it is you are going to have to distance yourself from that person. I could never understand why I had so many family members where people would just walk away from their husbands and give up on their husbands. I'm like, well, why? Why you just give up on a man? This and that and the other. Baby, after you experience that stuff yourself firsthand, you can't handle a person in that kind of mindset. You can't handle that person in that space. And because, like I said, the alcohol sometimes leads to drugs. The drugs, that's how that stuff leads to the outside woman. And wives thinking that, my husband's messing around, my husband's... It's like, but it comes from... It started with that addiction. It started from something. They have no self-control. They don't have no control over these things. It's like a greed spirit. It just wants more and more and more. It doesn't get tired. Wife, you need God to fight for you on this journey. You need God to fight for you on this journey. There's no way you can handle a person who's dealing with an act of addiction. Doesn't matter how many times you say, I'm going to change, I'm going to stop, I'm going to quit, You do all that kind of stuff or whatever, and then they go right back to it. They have a relapse. They need supernatural healing. They need a supernatural cure. They need God himself to do something in them supernaturally. And wife, that's where you come in at. I'm not telling you to be in a situation where you constantly, praying, because that stuff will get you tired out as well. You cannot stay in a place of warfare and laboring for that. Listen, Coach T labored for many, many years for my husband. I told God, listen, I can't do this. I can't do this. And that's when the God really, really highlighted to me the importance of self-care and taking care of yourself. Like, at the end of the day, I already told you what's going to happen with him. At the end of the day, I already told you how I was going to deal with him. You focus on yourself. So to that wife who was dealing with her husband with the addiction, ma'am, there's nothing you can do about it. Your part is managing you. Your part is taking care of you. Your part is doing what you can do for you. Right? That's your part. These marriages are not happening because these people are so great and grand and lovely and doubly. No, they're happening because God has fought for them. The other woman, the addiction, the outsiders, the family members, all the things that has tried to come against you, all the things that have tried to stop you, all the things that have tried to slow you down, all the things that try to interrupt what God has joined together. The only reason wives and husbands make it on the other side of this is because God is fighting for them. So I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to get that in your spirit. God, you have to fight for me. This battle is not mine. This is yours. This battle is not. There is no way Moses could have got the children of Egypt on the other side of the Red Sea without God's supernatural help. There was no way that Moses was going to be able to allow anything to happen without God's supernatural help. Why, when you're dealing with a person with addiction, you need his supernatural help. You're not going to be able to do this in your own strength. And on this is you getting worked up and getting mad. Oh, this person, you talking to this person. They cannot. I remember my husband, I use that. He said he don't know why. he don't know why he can't stop talking to the other woman. He don't know why. You know, and now, of course, there are some spiritual things that are connected to that stuff as well. They have spirit wives. They have this lust spirit. It's a lot of different other things. It's witchcraft. All the other different things that's connected to those things too. And that's why wives have to find out who their marital opponent is. That's why I tell wives all the time, there's so much work to do. Wives feel like, well, I don't want to have to do all that. Then don't. then don't. Right? And it's not like something that you do on a regular basis. You have a season where you are laboring. You have a season where you are lamenting. You have a season where you are going to God in prayer on your husband's behalf. But then that season when you're like, all right, God, this ain't mine. This battle ain't mine. But wives ain't tried. They have not even labored in it long enough to say that. They're trying to give up at the first hand of trouble. It's like that's not how I go. Too many wives want it easy. They want to just be able to no, God, just fix my marriage, just change it. God, you for the marriage, and He is. But marriage is the great sanctifier. It is one of the ways that God grows His wives up, His daughters up. It's one of the ways that God deal with His daughters. It's one of the ways that He train even the ones that He's called to do His work. And so He will allow certain things to take place in your marriage. He will allow certain things to happen. But you have to also know and understand that He will also fight for you. He will also fight for you. I didn't make it on this side because, I prayed a certain way, or I was fasting, or I was so good, or I did everything right. I tell you all the time, I was persecuted as a wife. I had a lot of persecution coming towards me from outsiders, from a lot of people who did not want me and my husband together. And God had to remind me today, it only happened because of me. Y'all only in that place because of me. And anybody that tries to get in between it, the Bible says in Matthew 19:6, what God has joined together, let not man separate. Anybody that tries to come in between that, they're gonna have to deal with me, because I'm the one that has allowed this to happen. I'm the one that's making this stand. I'm the one that's making this go down. I don't take no credit. Y'all, I just told y'all I'm counting down to him going back to work. Okay. Count down for him to go back to work so we can still be happy. God is the final authority in your marriage. God is the final authority. He is the one fighting for you, wife. There's certain battles that you are not able to fight on your own. There's certain things that you're just not going to be able to deal with. And when you're dealing with a person with addiction, that ain't your battle. That is not your battle. But you got to get in place. You got to get in a position. You got to find out, what did God say to you? God, is this addiction to death? Is God, are you going to heal my husband from this addiction? Are you going to take this away from him? Are you going to deal with him with this? God, is this to death? I need you to fight for me, God, because there's no way I can handle that. And wives got to get to that place. If you do not know what God has said to you about your marriage, promise. If you saying, okay, well, I made a decision, I'm going to stand for my marriage because they make it so fancy and cutesy and all that kind of stuff. Very cutesy, very demure. They do all that fancy stuff on the internet, but nobody tells you the work that's involved. And people are like, well, Coach, you always talking about person doing your work, person doing your work. What does it mean? You're always doing your work. You are a disciple of Christ. And so what does a disciple do? They have to do their work. They have to do their own due diligence. So when you are able, when you are standing in the fire, you know how to be able to withstand those darts. You know how to be able to withstand those things that's coming up against you. But you're not going to be able to withstand those things if you're not doing your work. And a lot of times people get a coach, accountability partner, somebody to walk with them on this journey so that they're able to withstand these things and do these things in the most healthiest way. Wife, you got to get in position. You got to get in place. This battle is not yours. God ain't calling you to do all this on your own. There are certain things you just won't be able to do. There are certain things God will have to fight for you on. That you supernaturally, God will have to do these things. You're not going to be able to do it in your own strength. But one thing you do need to know and find out, what did God say to you about your promise, about your marriage? What was the promise that he made to you? What did he tell you to do? Because too many wives are drowning. They're drowning in the Red Sea instead of getting up and walking over. They're drowning because they don't have a word. And if you don't have a word from God and you don't have nothing to hold on to, you are out here just walking around. you're just out here just doing whatever. And it's like, well, Coach, how do I get a word? You got to learn how to discipline yourself and get into a place and get into that place with God. And that's what I help you with. This is the whole purpose of wife checking in. This is the whole purpose of holding wives accountable. This is the whole purpose of me supporting you and helping you to get better. This is the things that I help wives do to get them to a healthier place, because it does not just happen overnight. Sometimes wives, like I said, I've walked with wives for years on this journey before things got to a healthy and better place. I've walked with wives for years before they got to a healthy and better place. Hey, like I told you, I've been married 19 and a half years. This thing has not been easy. It has not been easy. And as I learn things, even now on the other side of this, I still come and share, because it's not just a walk in the park. It's not just like, oh, okay, we're trying to get to a place. We're trying to get somewhere. We have somewhere we're going. If I did not have the promises of God, or if I did not have what thus said the Lord, I won't be able to do this. I would not have been able to do this. I would not have been able to share this. I would not be here today emphasizing and sharing this information with you. I wouldn't be able to do it. God will fight for you. Why? But there's a part that you play in this. You gotta do your work. All right. And so I want to just come in real fast. I want to encourage you with that. Go back and read Exodus chapter 14. Listen, God is fighting for you, wife. He is fighting for your husband. He is fighting for your marriage. Find out what did he say to you about your marriage. What was the promise? What was the instruction? Get that, and then you hold on to that. Your focus cannot be on the problem of your husband and all the stuff that he's doing wrong. Your focus have to be on what God said. And so many wives are drowning because they don't have, their focus is off. So many wives are drowning because they don't have a word. So many wives are drowning because they don't know. I don't know what God said to me. I don't know how to do this. I don't really know how to get to this place. Get some accountability. Get a coach. Let somebody walk with you. I'm telling you, you'll do so much better on this journey with somebody walking with you. I want to encourage you today, sign up for your wife consultation.